Every time you take a bite of an apple, a sip of coffee, or a bite of chocolate, you have pollinators to thank for that. You see, every third bite of food we eat is made possible by pollinators like bees, butterflies, bats, beetles, ants, even some lizards and mice. Most plants need help to reproduce. They rely on animals to transfer pollen from one plant to another so they can make seeds and more plants. The animals that do this are known as pollinators. While bees are the most common pollinators, there's actually a whole host of creatures that play this important role in our ecosystem. And when it comes to doing the dirty work of pollination, these little critters really get the job done. And if it weren't for them, we might not be able to grow the food we need to feed our ever-growing population. So let's take a moment to appreciate all the different types of pollinators out there and the important role they play in our lives. Bees are probably the most well-known pollinators, and for good reason. They are responsible for pollinating approximately 75% of the world's crops, including many of our most important food sources like fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. Bees collect pollen from one plant and then transfer it to another, which fertilizes the plant and allows it to produce food. They do this as they move from flower to flower, collecting nectar and pollen, which they use to make honey. Bees are also responsible for pollinating many wild plants, which provide food and habitat for other animals. Without bees, our planet would be a very different place. But bees aren't the only pollinators out there. Butterflies are also important pollinators, although they aren't quite as efficient as bees. They still play an important role in pollinating a variety of plants, including flowers, vegetables, and fruits. Like bees, butterflies collect pollen on their bodies as they fly from plant to plant, and then they transfer that pollen to other plants, fertilizing them along the way. Some species of butterflies are even able to taste the plants they pollinate, which helps ensure that they are transferring pollen to the right plants. This is important because if they pollinated the wrong plants, the plants wouldn't be able to produce viable offspring. But butterflies aren't the only pollinators out there. Moths are also important pollinators, especially at night. They are attracted to brightly colored flowers, and they often transfer pollen while they are feeding on nectar. Moths are also responsible for pollinating many plants that are pollinated by bees during the day. Beetles are another group of insects that play an important role in pollination. They are often the first pollinators to visit a plant, and they are responsible for pollinating a variety of plants, including squash, melons, and avocados. Beetles usually don't collect pollen on their bodies like bees and butterflies do, but instead they pick it up on their feet or legs. They then transfer the pollen to other plants as they move around. While beetles may not be as efficient pollinators as some other insects, they still play an important role in our ecosystem. Flies are another group of insects that play an important role in pollination. Although they are often seen as pests, flies are actually important pollinators. They are attracted to flowers that are the same color as their bodies, and they often transfer pollen while they are feeding on nectar or decaying matter. Flies are also responsible for pollinating many plants that are pollinated by beetles during the day. Beetles are also important pollinators, especially in tropical forests. They are often the only pollinators available to plants that bloom at night, and they are responsible for pollinating a variety of plants, including figs, bananas, and mangoes. Beetles usually collect pollen on their bodies as they move from flower to flower, and then they transfer that pollen to other plants, fertilizing them along the way. Wasps are also important pollinators, although they are often seen as pests. They are attracted to flowers that are similar to those that bees are attracted to, and they often transfer pollen while they are feeding on nectar or decaying matter. Wasps are also responsible for pollinating many plants that are pollinated by bees during the day. Ants are another group of insects that play an important role in pollination. They are often the first pollinators to visit a plant, and they are responsible for pollinating a variety of plants, including blueberries, cranberries, and cherries. Ants usually collect pollen on their bodies as they move from flower to flower, and then they transfer that pollen to other plants, fertilizing them along the way. Even some lizards and mice play an important role in pollination. Lizards are often found in areas with a lot of flowering plants, and they often transfer pollen while they are looking for insects to eat. Mice are also known to carry pollen on their fur as they move through their burrows, and they often transfer that pollen to other plants, fertilizing them along the way. As you can see, there are many different types of pollinators out there, and they all play an important role in our ecosystem. We couldn't grow the food we need to feed our population without them. So next time you see a bee or butterfly, take a moment to appreciate its hard work. Pollinators are important for more than just our food supply. They also help maintain genetic diversity within plant populations. When pollinators move from plant to plant, they help ensure that plants are able to reproduce and create offspring with different traits. This is important because it helps plants adapt to changing environments. Plants that are better able to withstand droughts, floods, and other environmental stresses are more likely to survive and reproduce. And pollinators play an important role in helping them do just that. Pollinators are also important for maintaining biodiversity. By helping plants reproduce, pollinators help ensure that different types of plants are able to thrive in an ecosystem. This is important because it helps create habitats for other animals. For example, plants that are pollinated by bees often provide nectar and pollen that other insects, such as butterflies and moths, rely on. By helping these insects survive, pollinators indirectly help support the entire food chain. Unfortunately, pollinators are under threat. Habitat loss, pesticide use, and climate change are all having negative impacts on pollinator populations. This is a problem because when pollinators decline, so does the amount of food we have available to us. It also means that plant diversity declines, which can lead to a loss of habitat for other animals. There are a few things we can do to help protect pollinators. Providing them with food and water, creating pollinator-friendly gardens, and reducing our use of pesticides are all important steps we can take. By taking these steps, we can help ensure that pollinators continue to thrive and that we have a sustainable food supply for years to come. We can all agree that pollinators are essential to our survival. They are responsible for pollinating the majority of the food we eat, and they also help maintain genetic diversity and biodiversity. Unfortunately, pollinators are under threat, but we can all do our part to help protect them. So next time you see a bee or butterfly, take a moment to appreciate its hard work and consider what we can do to help ensure that pollinators continue to thrive. There are many amazing facts about pollinators that we didn't have time to include in this video. For example, did you know that some bees can travel up to 20 miles per hour? Or that butterflies can taste with their feet? We could have talked about these amazing creatures all day, but we want to hear from you. What's your favorite thing about pollinators? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss an awesome science video. Thank you for watching.